All right, let's get straight into it. Remember to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any updates. Today we are talking about a major story unfolding in Abuja that has everyone on edge. Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has his trial moving in an intense direction. His defense team has sent a formal warning to Justice James Omotosho, the judge presiding over his case, asking him not to deliver a ruling before hearing a pending motion called a motion to arrest judgment. The defense is saying very clearly that until the court hears this motion, any judgment could be legally invalid. So, the message is simple. Hold on, judge. Let's follow the proper process. Kanu's lawyers argue that the law the prosecution is using to charge him under terrorism-related offenses is no longer valid. They claim it was repealed and replaced by a newer law. That is a huge point because if the law is invalid, the foundation of the entire case could be shaky. The motion to arrest judgment was filed on November 10th, 2025, and it asks the court to stop any judgment from being delivered until the motion is properly heard. But the court has already set November 20, 2025 as the date for judgment. So there is a clear clash between the court's schedule and the defense's request. The defense is pushing for this because they want due process. They are basically saying that under the Constitution, everyone has the right to a fair hearing. Delivering a judgment before their motion is heard could violate that right. They are also warning that if the court ignores this motion and goes ahead, the judgment could be legally void, meaning it might not stand in the future. This is serious because it touches on the very rule of law and fairness in Nigeria's courts. On the other side, the court seems to be saying that Kanu has had his chances to defend himself. And if he continues to delay, the case cannot remain in limbo forever. The judge has warned that refusing to enter a defense could affect his ability to influence the outcome. So, the tension is high. The defense is insisting on legal safeguards, and the court is under pressure to conclude a case that has been ongoing for years. This case is not just legal. It has deep political and social weight. Kanu and IPOB are central to the ongoing agitation in the southeast. Many people see this trial as symbolic. It is about regional identity, rights, and historical grievances. How this case is handled could influence public trust in the judiciary, the federal government, and stability in the region. So everyone is watching closely. Now, let's talk about the possible outcomes. Scenario 1, the court agrees to hear the motion first. In that case, the judgment could be delayed and the defense might get the chance to argue their point about jurisdiction and the validity of the law. Scenario 2, the court proceeds as scheduled on November 20th. If the judgment goes ahead without hearing the motion, there could be appeals, legal challenges, and potential unrest because people might feel justice was rushed or ignored. From a legal perspective, the defense has a strong argument. They are pointing to repealed laws and procedural requirements, which could make the court's judgment vulnerable if ignored. From the government and judiciary perspective, they want to show that the rule of law is being followed and that high-profile cases cannot drag endlessly. For viewers, the key question is, should the court wait to hear the motion to arrest judgment, respecting the procedural rights of the accused, or should it proceed to deliver the ruling as scheduled to conclude a case that has already drawn massive attention? This story is evolving fast, and the next few days could be critical. Remember to like this video if you're following this story and subscribe so you get every update. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think the court should wait or go ahead with the judgment? Drop your opinion in the comments. If the court decides to hear the motion to arrest judgment first, it means the judgment date of November 20 could be delayed. This gives the defense a chance to argue that the law used to charge Kanu is no longer valid and that the court technically does not have jurisdiction over the case. If the motion is granted, the trial could be paused or restarted under proper legal procedures. This would show that the judiciary is serious about due process, even in high-profile, politically sensitive cases. It could also help reduce tensions in the southeast because people would feel the process was fair and followed the rules. On the other hand, if the court ignores the motion and delivers judgment on November 20 as planned, it could have several consequences. Legally, the defense could file an appeal arguing that the judgment is void because the court acted before hearing a fundamental motion. Politically and socially, this could trigger protests or unrest in the southeast, as supporters of Kanu and IPOB could perceive the judgment as unfair or politically motivated. That's why this case is being watched so closely across Nigeria and internationally. It's also important to remember the history and symbolism behind this trial. Kanu and IPOB have been part of a long-standing movement for self-determination in the southeast. The federal government sees IPOB as a security threat, while many in the southeast see Kanu as a voice for their region. That mix of law, politics, and identity makes this case more than just a courtroom matter. It's a story that touches millions of lives. From a legal perspective, the key issues are jurisdiction, validity of the law under which Kanu is charged, and the timing of the judgment. If the court rules without hearing the motion, the defense could appeal to higher courts, which could drag this case even longer. That would keep the nation watching and the issue in the headlines for weeks or months. From a social perspective, how the court handles this could influence trust in the judiciary. A fair process strengthens confidence in the law. Rushing the judgment could lead to the opposite. People may feel the judiciary is being used for political purposes rather than justice. For viewers, here's what to keep in mind. This case is about more than one man. It's about the Nigerian constitution, the rule of law, the right to a fair trial, and the balance between security and civil rights. It's also about how the government and judiciary manage sensitive political and regional issues without escalating tensions. So, in the coming days, watch closely for announcements from the court. Will they hear the motion first? Will the November 20 judgment be delayed? Will there be appeals or reactions from Kanu's supporters? Every development will have ripple effects across Nigeria and possibly beyond. Remember to like this video if you find this update helpful, share it so others understand what's happening, and subscribe for all follow-up reports. Drop your opinion in the comments. Do you think the court should wait or go ahead with the judgment? Your thoughts matter. Looking at the possible legal outcomes, there are a few scenarios we need to consider. First, if the court accepts the motion to arrest judgment, the case could be paused or the judgment delayed. The defense would get a chance to challenge the validity of the charges and the law under which Kanu is being prosecuted. This could result in either dismissal of some charges, amendments to the prosecution's case, or a complete restart of proceedings under the correct legal framework. If that happens, it strengthens the idea that even high-profile defendants are entitled to due process. It also shows that the Nigerian judiciary respects procedural safeguards, which is very important for public confidence. Second, if the court rejects the motion but still delivers judgment, Kanu and his legal team would almost certainly appeal. This could take the case to the Court of Appeal or even the Supreme Court. The appeal process could take months, possibly years, which would extend the story and keep it in the national spotlight. While the federal government may see this as moving the case forward, it also risks being viewed as ignoring legal rights, which could inflame public opinion, especially in the southeast. Third, there is a middle path. The court could partially hear the motion or give conditional rulings. For instance, it might allow certain points of the motion to be addressed while still proceeding with some judgment. This is less common, but it's a possible legal maneuver in complex, high-profile cases like this one. Now, let's talk about the regional and political dimension. Kanu is not just a defendant, he is the figurehead of IPOB, which represents broader grievances in southeast Nigeria. Millions of people see this trial as a symbol of how the federal government treats the region. A perceived unfair judgment could trigger protests, demonstrations, or even civil unrest. Conversely, a judgment that respects procedural fairness could help calm tensions and signal that the judiciary is independent and trustworthy. From the social perspective, this story has captivated Nigerians across all regions. People are watching not only the legal arguments, but also how the government, the courts, and Kanu's supporters respond. The media coverage and public debate are influencing opinions about fairness, justice, and governance. This is why it's important to follow the case carefully and understand that each action by the court, defense, or government has ripple effects. For viewers, the takeaway is clear. This is about law, politics, and regional identity all intertwined. The coming days will be critical. Watch for announcements from the court regarding the motion to arrest judgment, reactions from Kanu's legal team, statements from IPOB, and possibly even comments from federal authorities. Each development will shape Nigeria's legal and political landscape. So, I want you to think about this and share your opinion in the comments. Do you think the court should wait and hear the motion fully, or should it go ahead with judgment on November 20? How do you think the Southeast will react, and what impact could this have nationally? Remember to like this video if you found this update clear and informative. Share it so others understand what's happening, and subscribe to the channel because we will bring every update as it happens.